No one expected the moment that would shatter the calm of the Outlander fandom. It happened during what was supposed to be a routine livestream. Light questions, promotional laughs, harmless behind-the-scenes anecdotes. Fans tuned in expecting the usual warmth between Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe, nothing more. But halfway through the conversation, something shifted. A question was asked. Sam paused. Caitriona glanced at him, and within seconds the atmosphere changed so drastically that millions felt it through their screens. The host had simply asked, "What's one thing the two of you have never told fans?" Harmless, casual, a filler question, really. But instead of offering a playful answer, Sam exchanged a long, loaded look with Caitriona. A look that didn't feel rehearsed, polished, or safe. Caitriona, normally quick-witted and golden-tongued, hesitated. Sam's jaw tightened as if he were debating whether to speak at all. And then he did. "We've kept something from you," he admitted, voice softer than usual. The livestream chat detonated instantly. Hearts, emojis, exploding comments. The host leaned in, surprised, unsure whether this was a joke or the start of something seismic. Sam continued, glancing briefly at Caitriona as if giving her a chance to stop him. She didn't. Caitriona exhaled, clasped her hands together, and added, "It's something we've carried for years, and we never felt the right moment to say it." Her tone wasn't playful. It wasn't teasing. It was emotional. And that was the moment the fandom knew. Whatever was coming next wasn't part of the script. The air in the studio felt charged. Even the host seemed to sense the gravity, leaning back slowly as the room fell silent. Sam took another breath and said, "We made a promise a long time ago. Before everything got big. Before Outlander became what it is." Caitriona nodded, eyes glistening with something unspoken. "A promise we weren't sure we'd ever talk about." That was all they said. Just that. No details. No explanation. Just a shared confession that a pact existed, one the world had never heard of. But it was enough to send the fandom into absolute chaos. Within minutes, Twitter, X, flooded with conspiracy threads. TikTok videos analyzing every frame roared to millions of views. Reddit exploded with theories ranging from, "They nearly dated," to, "They hit a fallout," to, "They protected each other during something big." Fans slowed down their micro-expressions, zoomed in on their eyes, dissected the tremble in Caitriona's voice and the tension in Sam's shoulders. Some swore Caitriona looked relieved. Others insisted Sam looked haunted. A few pointed out that this was the first time the pair admitted to withholding something significant together. Entertainment sites jumped in immediately. Heughan and Balfe admit years-long secret agreement. What did they promise each other? The confession that broke the fandom. Even mainstream outlets reported it, though most had no idea what they were actually reporting on. The vagueness of the confession was precisely what made it explosive. The mystery became the story. Insiders soon began leaking their own interpretations. One person from the production team claimed, the promise wasn't small. It was emotional, the kind of thing that changes how you see their entire partnership. Another insider added cryptically, they didn't tell the fandom because they weren't ready for the reaction. Clearly, they still aren't. More fuel poured in when a clip surfaced from moments after the livestream ended. Someone backstage had filmed Sam and Caitriona stepping away from the cameras. Caitriona touched Sam's arm, whispering something too quiet to hear. Sam ran a hand through his hair, visibly overwhelmed. The clip lasted only 8 seconds, but it deepened the mystery even more. Fans insisted the two looked emotional, almost shaken by what they had admitted. Some argued the confession hinted at a private struggle during the early seasons of Outlander. Others believed it was tied to a difficult period neither had spoken about publicly. A portion of the fandom was convinced the promise related to their bond, its boundaries, its depth, and the pressure it had endured under public scrutiny. Whatever the truth was, everyone agreed on one thing. Sam and Caitriona didn't look like people teasing their fans. They looked like people finally releasing a truth they had held onto too tightly. But the biggest shock came from a veteran crew member who spoke anonymously to a media outlet hours later. Their statement was brief, but it sent tremors across the fandom. "If you think that was the whole confession, you're wrong. They only revealed the part the world was ready to hear." That single line reignited the wildfire. Because if this confession was only half the truth, what was the other half? And why had Sam and Caitriona spent nearly a decade protecting it? As the fandom spiraled into speculation, those who worked closest with Sam and Caitriona watched quietly, knowing the confession was only the beginning. Several insiders later revealed that the two had debated for months whether they should address the promise at all. Studio executives strongly discouraged it, fearing it would reignite years of rumors and emotional chaos around their relationship. But Sam and Caitriona insisted something had changed, and they felt the weight of their secret more heavily than ever. Shortly after the livestream ended, the two actors retreated into a private meeting with their team. According to someone who was present, the atmosphere was tense. Sam reportedly said, "We couldn't keep carrying this alone," while Caitriona added, "It's shaped everything. We owed them at least this much." Their tone wasn't dramatic or sensational. It was weary, genuine, as though they had finally reached the point where silence was no longer protection but burden. Meanwhile, the fandom's reaction split into factions. Some insisted the promise was related to their personal relationship, something emotional, maybe even romantic. Others believed it connected to a difficult period during early seasons when both actors privately struggled with the intense pressures of fame. A third group speculated that the confession hinted at something the studio forced them to hide: creative disputes, emotional exhaustion, or something far deeper. But the truth, insiders said, was more complicated than any of the theories. One crew member who had been with the show since season 1 finally spoke anonymously, saying the promise had formed during a particularly turbulent period of filming. According to them, Sam and Caitriona were dealing with overwhelming pressure from fans, media, and the studio. At the same time, a deeply personal crisis had hit someone close to the production, something that affected both of them emotionally. The incident bonded them in a way no one expected. They made a vow, the crew member said, to protect each other from anything that could tear them apart, personally or professionally. This revelation shocked fans. The promise was not about romance. It was about survival. Still, the mystery grew when a secondary leak emerged, a short audio clip recorded years ago during a break on set. In the clip, Sam could be heard saying quietly, "Whatever happens, we don't let them pit us against each other." Caitriona responded softly, "Never. Not after what we've seen." The audio was only 10 seconds long, but it stunned the fandom. It hinted at conflict, pressure, and something the public never witnessed. Journalists quickly reached out to former staff for clarity. Most refused to comment, but one retired publicist finally offered insight. They went through something that solidified their bond. It wasn't scandalous. It wasn't messy. It was human, and they protected that moment with everything they had, because the industry isn't kind to vulnerability. As the story unfolded, more insiders added pieces to the puzzle. One said the confession was partly Sam's idea. He had been carrying guilt for years about how the situation affected Caitriona. Another revealed that Caitriona wanted fans to understand why she and Sam remained fiercely loyal to each other despite intense scrutiny. People saw chemistry, the insider said. They didn't see the cost. The fandom erupted again when a journalist published an article suggesting the promise had shaped the entire dynamic of the show. According to their report, Sam and Caitriona's decision to protect one another influenced how they navigated interviews, public appearances, and even certain creative decisions on-screen. The article claimed, their bond became the emotional backbone of Outlander, on camera and off. But the true twist came from a longtime friend of the actors. Someone who had known them before fame, before Outlander, before the world cared about their every move. In an anonymous interview, the friend revealed the final piece of the story. The promise wasn't about a secret they were hiding from the world. It was about a truth they were holding for each other. According to the friend, Sam and Caitriona had vowed to never let fame or external pressure destroy the trust between them. They promised to always protect the other's vulnerabilities, fears, and the emotional struggles fans never saw. They promised to never exploit their bond for publicity, attention, or narrative manipulation. The friend continued, "They share a connection that doesn't fit into any label fans want to put on it. It's not simple. It's not small. It's not something the world gets to define." And that was the twist that stunned the fandom. The confession wasn't a reveal of romance. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a hidden love story. It was a declaration. A declaration that Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe had built something real, unshakable, and fiercely protected, not because it was forbidden, but because it was theirs. The fandom wanted a headline. What they got was a truth far more powerful. Some bonds aren't meant to be exposed. They're meant to be safeguarded. Even if it takes a decade to admit it.